The Constitution of India, Preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution.
Hi children, how do you do? As I told you that I will be joining with you very soon. So today I am standing here to begin the class. My dear children, we know that COVID-19, the pandemic is spreading its wings in such a way that if we are not taking care of our health properly, surely we will be trapped and we will be facing many health issues. My dear children, be careful by being at home and take immune boosting foods so that you will be healthier, and also you should be positive, as we know that mind and body both are connected to each other. Last but not the least, prevention is better than cure. So my dear children, be healthy and always be happy. With this, I am going to begin the new lesson number 1, and that is biological classification. Chapter at a glance. In this chapter, we are going to study or learn or understand about early system of classification, 2 kingdom classification, 5 kingdom classification and viruses. So my dear children, what is biology? Anybody can say what is biology? As in our previous classes till 7th standard we studied as science, later on in 8th standard we studied it as biology. Now again the same term is there, biology. What do you mean by biology? Yes, dear children, it is the branch of science which deals with the study of living things. And we all know that Aristotle is considered as the founder of biology. Now, number 2, what do you mean by classification? This also you have studied in your previous classes. Classification. See my dear children, if many things are kept together, that is, it may be plates, glasses, spoons, water bottles or chairs, whatever it may be, when it is being together, we cannot say which is what, isn't it? But when we are keeping them separately by seeing their size or by knowing their utility, what will happen? These things, they will be categorized in the group. So that is what classification, that is the arrangement of anything into groups is called classification. And in biology also classification is been done related to living things. So here you can see biological classification. The scientific method of arrangement of organisms into groups is known as biological classification. Here what is been there, this organisms, as it is biology, and we know that what is biology? It is the branch of science which deals with the study of living things. So organisms are living things. So these living things are grouped, isn't it? And it has been grouped with the help of scientific methods, that is called biological classification. Now next, so we are going to begin with the first topic, that is early system of classification. Earlier the living organisms were classified, and we can see how they were classified. Aristotle, as we know, he is considered as the founder of biology. He classified living things based on morphology into two groups. What is morphology? Morphology is the physical appearance of the organism. From the external view, how the organisms look like, or we can say the outer look of the organism, or we can say, as I told you, physical appearance of the organism is known as morphology. So what he has done, he classified the living things on the basis of physical appearance, or we can say morphology, into two groups, and they are plants and animals. And the plants were classified as trees, shrubs, herbs based on the size. And in the case of animals, animals were classified into red-blooded as well as non-red-blooded. So this was the classification given by Aristotle. This is the early system of classification. And later on, what happened? Two kingdom classification was brought. It was brought by Carolus Linnaeus, and he classified the organism into two groups, and it was kingdom Plantae, or it has been said as plant kingdom, and number two, kingdom Animalia, or it has been said as Animalia kingdom. So my dear children, kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia were the two kingdoms which was classified by Carolus Linnaeus. But this classification was inadequate because of many reasons. So we can see what are the reasons for the classification to become inadequate. Here you can see drawbacks of the two kingdom classification. Number one, it does not distinguish between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Prokaryotes and eukaryotes, already we know what is prokaryotes and what is eukaryotes. From the term itself, that is prokaryote, prokaryon. Pro means primitive, karyon means nucleus. The organisms which are having primitive nucleus are known as prokaryotes, and eukaryotes, when we split it, it becomes eukaryon. Eu means true and karyon means nucleus. So organisms, those who are having true nucleus in them are called eukaryotes. So here what happened? This classification does not distinguish between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. And number two, it does not distinguish between unicellular and multicellular organism. That is, you know what is unicellular as well as you know what is multicellular. Uni means single. That means if an organism is with single cell, it is called unicellular, and if the organism is having numerous cell, that is multicellular. Therefore, it is called as multicellular organism. So the second drawback was it does not distinguish between unicellular as well as multicellular organism. Third is it does not distinguish photosynthetic, example green algae, and non-photosynthetic organisms, example fungi. We know that green algae or the plants, they used to do photosynthesis and they are autotrophs, whereas fungus or fungi, they are heterotrophs. So these organisms were not distinguished and they were not grouped into separately, or we can say in a separate group they were not grouped. Number 4, it includes bacteria, blue-green algae and fungi in kingdom Plantae because of the presence of cell wall. So Carolus Linnaeus, what he has done, he grouped bacteria, blue-green algae and fungi in one kingdom, and that is kingdom Plantae, because these organisms, they were having cell wall, as the cell wall is present in plant also. So due to that, what happened, this system was inadequate, as it is said the cell wall of these organisms differ from each other. In the case of bacteria, blue-green algae, fungi as well as Plantae, the cell wall composition is different. The cell wall which is present there in plant or in bacteria or in blue-green algae or in fungi, it was different. They are made up of different compositions. That's why again we can say the two kingdom system was inadequate. Fifth one, a large number of organisms did not fall into either of the groups. As it has been said, all the living organisms, they were grouped into two, that is plant kingdom as well as animal kingdom, but there are certain organisms which were not grouped into any of these two kingdoms. Therefore, this system was considered as inadequate. That is, scientific world has not considered this system for the further classification of organism. This is important, my dear children. Always question used to come from this part, so you have to study this topic very nicely. Now later on, what happened? The 5 kingdom classification brought by R.H. Whittaker, and the criteria used by R.H. Whittaker was number 1, cell structure, thallus organization, mode of nutrition, reproduction and phylogenetic relationship. Once again I will repeat the criteria used by R.H. Whittaker for classifying the living things was cell structure, thallus organization, mode of nutrition, reproduction, phylogenetic relationship. We know that what is cell structure. So based on the cell structure, he classified the organisms into 5 kingdom. Based on thallus organization, thallus I know it is a new word for you, my dear children. Thallus is a term which means the organisms, their body is not differentiated into root, stems or leaves. In the case of plants, we can say their body is differentiated into root, stem as well as leaves, isn't it? But in certain organisms, the body is not classified, or it does not differentiated into root, stem. For example, in the case of, we can say amoeba, isn't it? Amoeba is a unicellular organism where we can say that it does not have root or stem. Or in the case of, we can say blue-green algae or green algae, where the body is not differentiated into root or stem. Same way in the case of bryophytes, there also certain ferns are there where the body is not differentiated into root, stem or leaves. So these are the organisms, they are called thallus. And next one is mode of nutrition. We know that all the organisms, they are taking their food in different ways. So based on the mode of nutrition, R.H. Whittaker have classified the organism into 5 kingdom. Reproduction is also different in all the organism, as well as the phylogenetic relationship, that is philo means the race, genetic means the origin. That means the evolutionary relationship between the species was considered here to classify the organism, and based on these 5 criterias, R.H. Whittaker has classified the organism into 5 kingdom. You can see here, in general it is been said that organisms, they are classified into prokaryotes and eukaryotes. In prokaryotes, kingdom Monera is been classified, is been grouped, and in the case of eukaryote, again it is been classified into 2, unicellular and multicellular, where in unicellular kingdom Protista is been grouped, and in the case of multicellular, again it is been classified into 2, with cell wall and without cell wall. In the case of with cell wall, we can see again in the 2 types it is been grouped. Do not perform photosynthesis, and fungi are the organisms which are grouped here, whereas able to perform photosynthesis, Plantae is being grouped in this kingdom here, and without cell wall it is Animalia. So we can see here Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae and Animalia, like this it is been grouped there. So we can see again kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, kingdom fungi, kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia are the 5 kingdom which was being classified by R.H. Whittaker. So here kingdom Monera, it includes prokaryotic organisms. Membrane bound cell organelles are absent. Membrane bound, that means in the cell we can see cell wall, isn't it? They or we can see the outer membrane will be present there in certain organisms, but in this organism or the organisms which are coming under kingdom Monera, they won't have membrane bound cell organelles, they are absent in them. Such organisms are classified into, or they are being grouped here in kingdom Monera. Number 2, kingdom Protista includes unicellular aquatic eukaryotic organisms. Unicellular as well as they are aquatic as well as they are eukaryotic. So those organisms were grouped here in kingdom Protista, and here we can see membrane bound and non-membrane bound cell organelles. Presence of membrane bound, that means we can see the membrane as well as the non-membrane bound cell organelles are also present in their cell. That is related to kingdom Protista. Now kingdom fungi, it includes eukaryotic, multicellular and heterotrophic organisms. We know what is eukaryotic, we know what is multicellular, and we know what is heterotrophic organism. As I told you before, plants are autotrophic and fungi are heterotrophic. That means plants can prepare their own food. That's why they are called autotrophic. And heterotrophic means these organisms, they will derive food from other organisms. Therefore, they are called heterotrophic. Yeast is exceptional as it is unicellular. Other fungus all are multicellular. Yeast is the only fungi which is unicellular. This is very, very important. Now the 4th kingdom is kingdom Plantae. Includes multicellular chlorophyll containing organisms. We already know about plant. Plants are green and they are multicellular and they are having chlorophyll in them. The cell wall is composed of cellulose. In the cell wall, or we can say the cell wall of plant is made up of cellulose. And next, kingdom Animalia includes multicellular heterotrophic eukaryotics without cell wall. That is the difference between kingdom Plantae and Animalia. Here it is multicellular, but it is heterotrophic, it is eukaryotic, and they don't have cell wall. So you can, I think you would have understood the outline of these 5 kingdoms. Now we are going to study in detail about each kingdom. Before that, we can once again just see how the 5 kingdom is being classified. Here you can see the living being. First is kingdom Monera, and in kingdom Monera the species, they are photosynthetic, and number 2, absorption process is taking place in them. An example is bacteria and cyanobacteria. Now number 2, kingdom Protista. Here absorption process is taking place, ingestion is also taking place, and they are photosynthetic in nature. Example is microalgae, phytoplanktonic forms, protozoa, slime molds. All these are the examples of kingdom Protista. Phytoplanktonic means they are aquatic, they are marine, they are microscopic in nature, isn't it? And as it is been said, absorption and ingestion. Based on absorption process, again the organism is being classified as kingdom fungi, where we can see microfungi as well as macrofungi. Micro means very small fungus, and macro means we are able to see them through our naked eyes. Next is related to ingestion, kingdom Animalia, invertebrates and vertebrates. These 2 terms you would have studied in your previous classes. Those animals which are having vertebrates are called vertebrates, and those animals which don't have vertebra or vertebral column, they are known as invertebrate. So in Animalia we will be studying about invertebrate and vertebrate, which you will be studying in zoology. Now related to photosynthetic part, when we are coming, there we can say that kingdom Plantae are the organisms which are doing photosynthesis, and they include macroalgae, bryophytes, pterophytes, gymnosperms, angiosperms. All these plants or the group of plants we are going to study later in botany. So this is just a outline of 5 kingdom system which was given by R.H. Whitaker. Now we are going to study about the characteristics of 5 kingdom classification. Here you can see cell type, cell wall, nuclear membrane, body organization, mode of nutrition. Based on cell type, Monera they are prokaryotic, Protista they are eukaryotic, fungi eukaryotic, Plantae, Animalia, they are also eukaryotic. Now when the characteristic feature of cell wall was taken, it was said that kingdom Monera, they are non-cellular and they are made up of polysaccharide and amino acid. The cell wall of Monera is made up of polysaccharide and amino acid, whereas in the case of Protista, cell wall is present in some. Already we have studied that they are having membrane bound as well as non-membrane bound cell organelles, isn't it? So in the case of Protista, cell wall in some organisms it is present. In case of fungus it is present, but it is without cellulose, and in case of plant it is present and the cell wall is made up of cellulose. In the case of Animalia, it is the cell wall is absent. Now next one is nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane is absent in Monera. In the case of Protista, it is present. Fungi, Plantae as well as Animalia also, the nuclear membrane is present. As we have said that kingdom Monera, they are prokaryotes. So surely the nuclear membrane will be absent in them, and the other organisms, they are eukaryotes. So surely the nuclear membrane will be present in them. Now the next one is body organization. In the case of body organization, kingdom Monera, in that the organisms, they are cellular. In Protista, they are cellular, but in case of fungus, they are multicellular, and the cells are loosely packed, that is, the tissues are loosely packed, whereas in the case of Plantae, we can see tissues as well as the organs, and in the case of Animalia, we can see tissues, organs as well as organ system. This is how the body organization go. That is, it is cellular. In prokaryotic also, in Protista it is cellular. But in the case of fungi, what it has been said, it is multicellular, but they are having only tissues. In the case of Plantae, tissues and organs are present there, but in the case of Animalia, tissues, organs as well as organ system is present there in the body of the organism. Now, when we are coming to the characteristic feature of mode of nutrition, we can say that in Monera, they are autotrophic, and in autotrophic, how they are taking or preparing their food, that is through the process called chemosynthesis, as well as they are heterotrophic also, they are saprophytic as well as parasitic also. So, all type of organisms we can see in the case of kingdom Monera. They are autotrophic. In the autotrophic process, we can see chemosynthetic as well as photosynthetic organisms. Chemosynthetic, we know that the organisms which are able to prepare food by using chemicals. That process is called chemosynthetic process, and already we know that what is photosynthesis. Again, certain organisms are there which are heterotrophic in nature, that is, they are absorbing or they are taking food from other organisms. They may be saprophytic or parasitic. Saprophytic means they will be depending on the dead and decaying matter. Parasitic means they are parasites, that means they will be living on the host and driving the food or absorbing the food. Next is Protista. In case of Protista, they are autotrophic, that is photosynthetic, as well as they are also heterotrophic. In the case of fungi, they are completely heterotrophic. They may be photosynthetic or parasitic. In the case of plants, they are completely autotrophic, that is, they are photosynthetic organisms which are preparing their own food. And in the case of Animalia, heterotrophic, may be holozoic or saprophytic, etc. So, this is how the based on mode of nutrition, kingdom Monera, Plantae, Protista, fungus as well as Animalia is being classified. So, this is very, very important, my dear children. This one you have to study. Now, as 5 kingdom classification which was given by R.H. Whittaker, based on the criteria, it was classified into 5 groups, and the advantages of this 5 kingdom classification is it is based on cellular organization and mode of reproduction. That is, when we went through the classification, we came to know that cellular or based on cellular organization as well as mode of reproduction, the plants or animals or Protista or fungi, whatever it may be, all the living organisms were classified, isn't it? Next one, the organisms are placed based on the gradual evolution of early organism, that is phylogenetic relationship. So, based on the phylogenetic relationship, the kingdom Protista, Animalia or fungi or whatever is been, it was been named there. And third one is all prokaryotic organisms are grouped together under kingdom Monera. All the organisms which are prokaryotic in nature were grouped together and they were given the name as kingdom Monera. Next, the eukaryotic unicellular organisms are grouped under kingdom Protista. Unicellular eukaryotic organisms, that is, the organisms are eukaryotic but they are unicellular. All those organisms were grouped under kingdom Protista. So, these are the advantages of 5 kingdom classification. Next, the kingdom fungi. It is placed separately. It has been given separate place in the classification due to the difference in their cell wall composition. That is, the cell wall of fungi is made up of chitin, isn't it? No? And they are heterotrophs. So, based on cell composition as well as based on mode of nutrition, the organisms, or we can say fungus, they are given a separate kingdom, and that is kingdom fungi. So, due to these advantages, the 5 kingdom classification is accepted by worldwide scientifically, and now also based on the 5 kingdom classification, the living organisms, they are being classified and they are being grouped into these 5 classes. I think you would have understood about the 5 kingdom classification, my dear children. Now we are going to study in detail about each kingdom. The first one is kingdom Monera. As we have understood, or we just now we came to know that they are unicellular and prokaryotic, and their cell wall is made up of amino acid and polysaccharides, and the nutrition, that is the food they are preparing, they are autotrophic, as well as they are taking the food from the host, therefore they are heterotrophic also. Example, bacteria. So, bacteria is the common example of kingdom Monera. Monerians are classified into 3 groups. Number 1, Archaebacteria, number 2, Eubacteria, and number 3, Mycoplasma. So, the first one is Archaebacteria. Archaebacteria, they are the ancient groups of primitive prokaryotes. Ancient groups of primitive prokaryotes means when the earth is formed, that time these bacteria were present there on this earth. That's why they are known as ancient groups of primitive prokaryotes. And these Archaebacteria, they are again grouped into 3. Number 1, halophils, number 2, thermoacidophils, and number 3, methanogens. Halophils, halo means salty, isn't it? So, the bacteria, those are living in salty area, they are known as halophils. Salty means that area will be concentrating, that is highly concentrated because of the presence of salt. Next one is thermoacidophils. Here 2 terms you can see, thermo temperature, acido means acid. So, these are acid loving bacteria and they live in hot spring. Together it is there. Acid loving means acidophils, as well as hot spring means with high temperature. That is, these organisms, they love to live in high temperature as well as they are acid loving organisms. Next one is methanogens. Methanogens, they are found in marshy areas and in the guts of ruminant animals. Ruminant animals means, example, it is been cow, goat, buffalo. We know that there in them the stomach is 4 chambered, isn't it? And when they eat the food, what is the food mainly? It is grass, and when they eat it, they will chew it, they will swallow it, and after certain period of time, again that food will be coming back to their mouth, again they will churn it, they will chew it nicely, and again they will swallow it. So, those animals are known as ruminant animals, and this methanogens, that is, these are the bacteria, they are found in marshy areas as well as in the guts of ruminant animals, and these bacteria, they produce methane, which is a biogas, and it is being formed or produced from the dungs of these ruminant animals. This part is very, very important, my dear children. You have to study it. Now, the number 2 is Eubacteria, that is, they are also known as true bacteria, and it includes bacteria and cyanobacteria. In the case of bacteria, we are going to study about the 4 groups of bacteria based on their shape, and in the next class I will be telling you about the mode of nutrition taking place in bacteria as well as the mode of reproduction taking place in bacteria. So here I am just telling you about the 4 types of bacteria which are based on the shape. They are Coccus, Bacillus, Vibrio, Spirillum. Coccus, Bacillus, Vibrio, Spirillum. So here you can see the shapes of bacteria and coccus. You can see here on coccus, and these coccus, there are different types of coccus bacteria are there, and for example diplococci, isn't it, tetrads are there, streptococci is there, micrococci and staphylococcus is there. So these are the coccus bacteria. Number 2 is bacillus, or they are also known as rod shaped. Here again you can see examples of bacillus bacteria. They are Coccobacilli, Mycobacterium, Corynebacterium, isn't it? Streptomycetes, all these are the examples of rod shaped or bacillus bacteria. Next one is the Spirillum as well as Vibrio. You can see Spirilla is here, Vibrio is here, as well as Spirochete is also present here. So these are the bacteria which are being grouped based on the shape, and based on this bacterial classification you are going to watch a video, my dear children. Just watch the video and understand the types of bacteria based on the shape.
Cells are the basic units of all living beings. All living organisms are made of one or more cells. The developed forms of life are multicellular, formed into tissues and organs. Bacteria is a single-celled organism, and an example for prokaryotic cell, which means the nucleus is not bound by membrane. The major characteristics of any bacterial cell mainly depend on the size, shape, structure, and arrangement of cells. Each species has its own characteristics. The cells may occur individually or in groups. The shape of each cell is particular to the species. Bacterial cells are very small. The size ranges from 0.2 to 10 micron or micrometers. For our understanding, 1 micron is 1,000th of a millimeter. The average cross-section of a human hair is about 50 microns. The human eye cannot see anything smaller than 40 microns. Depending on the shape, the bacterial cells are cocci, bacilli, spirilla, vibrio, spirochetes, filamentous, and pleomorphic. Cocci are spherical or round in shape. Bacilli are rod-shaped. Spirilla are the rod-shaped bacteria that are helically curved. Vibrio are slightly curved rods. Spirochetes are helical in shape due to their flexible cell wall. Filamentous are the bacteria that develop filamentous or branched body. Pleomorphic are the bacteria that occur in different shapes. As discussed earlier, the bacterial cell can also be found in groups. The grouping of cells become one of the characteristics. The most common arrangement of cell in cocci bacteria is as follows. Monococci, single round-shaped cell. Diplococci, cells divide in one plane and remain attached in pairs. Streptococci, cells divide in one plane and remain attached to form chains. Tetrads, cells divide in two planes and form a group of 4 cells. Staphylococci, cells divide in 3 planes in an irregular pattern and form bunches. Sarcinae, cells divide in 3 planes and form a cuboidal cell arrangement.
Okay, my dear children, I think you would have understood today's session very nicely. My dear children, if you are having any doubt based on the topics just now what I have taken, you can give me a call and clarify your doubt and be on the track every time, because if you will be derailed from the track, it will be very difficult to come back to the track. So my dear children, if you will be on the track and if you are showing interest in biology, I told you before also, you can score good marks in biology in your examination. So dear children, by this I am winding this session. We will be meeting again in the next class. Till then, take care, stay safe, stay healthy.